Hello everybody, my name is Daulton Nelson and today I'd like to give my thoughts on a game I just beat. That game being Dragon Quest VII, Fragments of the Forgotten Past, for the 3DS. Dragon Quest VII was developed by Heartbeat, remastered by RT Piazza, published by Square Enix, and it is a Japanese role-playing game. In terms of notable RPG video game series, there are numerous, almost too many to count. However, one of those that never seem to get lost in the mix is the Dragon Quest franchise. The Dragon Quest games are extremely popular in Japan, and have a strong cult following here in the States. I've personally never played an entry in the series, although I am familiar with the first game, Dragon Warrior, which I saw a Let's Play of once. So, being a large and notable franchise, I decided a few years ago to buy the 2016 remake of Dragon Quest VII, and played it for a few hours before putting it down. It was a kind of Breath of Death 7 sort of situation, where I got bored, so seeing as I came around to Zeboid's title last year, after giving it a chance, I figured I'd give Dragon Quest VII the same respect. That was a mistake. One thing I didn't realize going into this was that DQ7 is 70 hours long, and boring as all hell, and that's just this remake. The original is reported to be 100 hours long. I cannot imagine playing 30 more hours of this boring software. Now is normally the part of the review where I would describe DQ7's gameplay and what makes it unique, but there isn't anything of the sort. DQ7's RPG mechanics are so run-of-the-mill, it's honestly not worth talking about. If you've played a turn-based JRPG before, then you know what you do in this game. Attack, magic, abilities, experience, and gold at the end of a battle. That's the game. To be fair, DQ7 does have a class system that's kinda neat. You can pick your vocation and level it up through battles to get more abilities and magic that you can use. You can also master certain classes to gain access to higher classes, so it's not worthless to invest in this. However, you keep any abilities you gain through class progression, which is fine, but you get so much that it becomes confusing to know what does what and which abilities are your most effective. The classes also follow more of a set it and forget it approach, so your party build never felt like it mattered. DQ7 also has items you can use, but items really stopped mattering very early on in the game. Only armor and weapons were worth buying at a certain point. Speaking of which, good luck buying things in this game, or getting stronger for that matter. Gaining money and experience feels so unbalanced. You get so little from battles that it never feels like it's enough. For example, one of the best shields in the game costs 33,000 gold. Meanwhile, enemies in the final dungeon of the game give like 150 gold average. So let's assume each battle has only one enemy and lasts 1 minute minimum. That's 220 battles you would need to win, which means 220 minutes spent grinding, not counting the walking you're doing to initiate battles. That's about 3 hours and 40 minutes spent to get one shield for one party member, and each party member has like 4 armor slots: head, shield, body, and accessory. So imagine the time you have to spend to get a full set of armor for each of your 4 party members. That's a lot of grinding and a lot of time wasted. And that's just the end of the game. But it's like that for the entire playthrough. I remember getting all the best stuff I could get in one area early on, saving up a bunch of gold, then getting to the next area, and was only able to get like 2 armor pieces. The battle rewards are ridiculously low. Thankfully, you can set other party members to tactical AI, which, given how much button pressing you'll be doing with just one character, is essential to not blowing your brains out. Not that this AI is wholly reliable. If just one of your party members dies during a battle, for example, your party will stop what they're doing, and constantly cast a spell called Zing, which will revive a dead party member, but only a minority of the time, which is totally fun and not a waste of magic points at all. They'll also heal when a member's health is low, no matter what you set them to. They could be on Show No Mercy, which is supposed to be the tactic of constantly using aggressive abilities, be low on MP, and still use the most ineffective healing techniques they have in their arsenal, and will not stop until that member is dead or past half of their health value. The only thing I liked about battles, and the game really, is the enemy variety and their designs. Akira Toriyama of Dragon Ball fame was in charge of art design for the game, and I think he does a good job. A lot of it looks a little too much like his other work, but at least it's a style I can pin to Dragon Quest and something cool I can look at. But that's enough about battle and gameplay. The story of the game is almost non-existent. There is writing here and an attempt at a story, but what's here is either really surface level or not developed in the slightest. Take the story of the game itself. In the beginning 50 hours of the game, DQ7 wants to be an adventure where you and 3 friends travel to the past, restoring islands that were shut away by the Demon King. However, once you restore all of the islands, the game just kinda forgets what you were doing and shoves you into the Demon King's lair without even acknowledging your accomplishment. But then, once you beat the Demon King the first time, you realize that there is still 20 hours of gameplay left, and what felt like an ending was actually the development team pivoting entirely to a cliché story about restoring the 4 elements and defeating the Demon King again. Like, didn't I do that already? The main characters of the game aren't developed, and almost have no character at all, save for one, of which is taken away from you, so none of the characters are worth getting attached to. The settings of the game rarely offer anything interesting. Every so often, assets will change to reflect a desert or an inside of a volcano, but for the most part, everything looks so samey, and the soundtrack does not help. I am surprised to find out that there is an hour of music on it. The same 5 tracks seem to play through the entire game, making me mute the goddamn thing like 30 hours in. The game feels so boring and repetitive. The various islands you visit do not contribute to the story at large. Cryptic instructions on what to do and where to go permeate the progression, and there is so much dialogue in the game that does not matter. Thank God you can hold the stick in any direction to progress it, and the entire thing ends with one of the worst final bosses I've had the pleasure of beating. This boss has 4 phases and is stronger than anything else in the game, to a point where I spent about 10 hours of my playtime alone grinding to try and beat it. It's ridiculous. Sure, there aren't any bugs or anything, the game runs fine, but is that really the standard we have to hold games to keep them from getting harsh scores? Very few games can say they put me to sleep. Dragon Quest VII is one of them. It's way too long, with nothing to show for it, and there is no reason why I would recommend it. So I'm going to give Dragon Quest VII a final score of a 1 out of 10. Don't play this. Don't look at it. Don't give it the time of day. If you would like to play a fun, 100-hour plus RPG, play Persona 5. If you would like to play an RPG where you go on an adventure to multiple exotic locations, play Paper Mario. If you would like a colorful RPG with lots of humor and charm, play Cthulhu Saves the World. The RPG genre has so many classics to it that in the span of time it'll take you to find something interesting in DQ7, you could have spent that time wisely playing something else. That concludes my review of Dragon Quest VII. If you like my reviews, you can like, comment, or subscribe. I also have social media links down in the description below, as well as a link to my online portfolio where you can see video game design works that I have done. And with that out of the way, please make sure to have a nice day.